It was the standard galactic year 3645 when death came to Vrixis Prime. The last of our great battle fleets was ash. The last drops of our soldiers' blood had been spilled. Generations of our young had been spent like so much water on desert sands, all to stem the inexorable tide of the Talankari horde on their rampage across the stars. Our allies, who had once stood shoulder with us, had scattered to the Five Arms to make their own last stands on their own wasted homeworlds. One by one, we had watched as the Flocker, the Pazur, the Isarami was snuffed out in the face of the Talankari tide. They had come from beyond our galaxy. Approaching from the galactic east, they had thundered into the most populous sectors like a swarm of halazid locusts. Worlds burned, and populations were enslaved as we dithered, trying to put aside our differences for long enough to put together a united front. United, if you could call it that. In the first space battle that could truly be called such, Flocken cruisers broke formation and made a piecemeal assault just to prove that they would never submit to a Isarami. The Pizza, unwilling to shoulder the burden of sacrifice the battle would require if their allies would not aid them, had jumped their supercarriers and battleships away, ostensibly to regroup. We had been left without allies, outnumbered and outgunned. What else could we do but flee? The Talankari never let us stop, harrying the combined fleet until it shattered under the strain of near-constant combat. All of us retreated to our own strongholds and fortress worlds, telling ourselves that we would be the holding action, which would allow our allies to swoop in and swipe a decisive blow in the enemy's flank. We hadn't accounted for the vastness of the Talankari numbers. In a display of total war, for which we were utterly unprepared, they managed to keep each and every one of us on the defensive, over sector-wide fronts that only ever moved in one direction. One by one, the allies fell. Far in the galactic west, serving as gatekeepers to the quarantined Bashuk sector, with its death wells and gravitational anomalies, we were the last to feel the hammer fall. We dug in as best we could on moons and orbital stations, and we waited for the inevitable. And they came, breezing past our outer defenses as though they weren't even there. That's where I, High Counselor Moktelun, come in. "Talankari warships sinking orbits and coming into range of the planet," reported the sensor officer. "Orbital defense rings, prepare to engage," snapped Admiral Peltzim. "General, prepare to repel ground assault." "We're ready as we can be with the aged and the hatchlings holding the plasma casters, sir," came General Palaric's bitter reply over the communications channel. The Admiral looked as though he'd like to chastise his general for his defeatist attitude, but obviously thought better of it given the situation. "Ancestors preserve us," whispered the sensorman, as the enemy fleet came in range of his short-range sensors. 15 Talankari battleships, 4 carriers, and countless other craft were now roaring towards us as fast as their sublights could push them. The control room was silent. In the face of such overwhelming force, what could be said? Until there was a chime from one of the other stations. "Gravitational anomaly detected, exiting the Bashuk, moving fast," reported the second sensorman, wonder and confusion in his voice. "What is that? It's huge!" "Have the ancestors no mercy?" roared the Admiral, clearly anticipating yet another threat. "It's a ship, sir. Unfamiliar in design. It's maneuvering to sync orbits. It looks like it will arrive at roughly the same time as the Talankari," said the puzzled sensorman. "One of theirs?" asked the Admiral. "No, sir. The energy signatures are way off. This is something new," came the reply. "Talankari moving to intercept the anomaly," chattered the first sensorman. "Definitely not one of theirs." The unidentified ship came into short-range sensor range, and what a ship it was. 5 times as long as the Talankari capital ships, but at least 100 times as massive. On its side, as we came to learn later, was written EGMC Bulldog. The Talankari did what they always do. Sighting the Titan entering what they now regarded as their space, they immediately attacked. We shuddered to imagine the horror experienced by the crew of this massive vessel, as the first salvos of lancefire and torpedoes shredded their hull, except that they didn't. Energy shields blossomed around the Titan, as the apocalyptic forces arrayed against it were simply snuffed out. Taken by surprise, the Talankari actually stopped firing. Similarly surprised, the Titan hung, motionless in space for a moment, before it issued its reply. A coruscating beam erupted from a weapon mount on the bow of the strange ship, briefly linking the nearest Talankari battleship to the Titan. It appeared that nothing had happened for a moment, until the battleship began to drift apart, neatly bisected from bow to stern. A heartbeat later, a miniature short-lived star blazed among the loitering fleet, as the battleship's reactor went spectacularly supercritical. Other weapons mounts now blazed into life, and before we knew it, the entire Talankari fleet was being engaged simultaneously. Some of the smaller vessels dodged and jinked, pursued by horrifically persistent beams of blazing light. The capital ships just died, carved apart by withering bars of energy. A new constellation shone brightly in our night sky, sending the ill-prepared defenders out into the open to witness the spectacle of their salvation. The battle, if you can call it that, was not lengthy. "Raise that ship," I ordered, breaking the lengthy silence that followed the death of the final Talankari ship within reach. "Sir, we don't know their intentions," advised the Admiral in a shaky voice. "We should at least target them with the orbitals." "And what, Admiral, do you imagine the orbitals are going to do, except get our planet glassed in so many heartbeats?" I snapped irritably. An image shifted into focus in the holofield in the center of the room. "Oh, hello down there. Sorry, I didn't see your energy signature," said a furless biped in loose-fitting, ill-matched garb. "Who are you, stranger?" I asked, in my best diplomatic tone. "Apologies," continued the biped, looking a little flustered. "I'm not really trained for first contact." It seemed to straighten itself for a moment, tugged at its clothing to neaten the crumpled lines of its outfit, and continued. "I am Captain Tomiyama of the Eastern Galactic Mining Barge, Bulldog. I've run this up the chain. Someone with more authority will be here shortly, but for now it falls to me to bid you greetings," it said, as though reading from a script. "Greetings from where exactly?" I inquired politely, pretending to ignore its fumbling attempts at diplomacy. "We bring you greetings from the Milky Way, Mr. President. We bring you greetings from Earth."